The breeze blowing through Fuchsia village carries the smell of salt and the sound of seagulls. A young boy falls into the water, and a pirate dives in to save him. We know how this goes. But in this timeline, the pirate is a fraction of a second too late. The jaws of a coastal sea king snap shut. The water churns red. Monkey D. Luffy is dead. Red-haired Shanks pulls himself onto the pier alone. He is a captain known for throwing massive parties and laughing off spilled drinks. In an instant, that carefree spirit shatters. The guilt of failing to save the boy who carried his former captain's ideals hollows him out, replacing a life of adventure with an unbearable weight. Plucking a single thread from a tapestry causes the entire pattern to unravel. Without that boy setting sail a decade later to gather a crew, the trajectory of the entire ocean shifts. The people destined to sail under his flag are left to their original, doomed paths. A bounty hunter named Zoro starves tied to a post. A brilliant navigator spends her life enslaved, drawing maps in the dark. Nico Robin finds no sanctuary in the desert and is hunted down by the world government. A boy died, and a dozen specific lives ended in quiet misery. But the loss scales upward. The ocean lost the only natural catalyst capable of disrupting 8 centuries of systemic oppression. Without that disruption, the geopolitical board remains entirely static. The world government and its network of warlords face no unpredictable variables. They thrive in the silence, expanding their grip without a single erratic, rubber-bodied pirate to punch through their defenses. Alabasta falls to Crocodile Syndicate. Enies Lobby maintains its perfect record. The secret rulers face zero threat. Shanks watches this decay and abandons the romantic ideals of piracy. Driven by a need for atonement, he appoints himself rogue peacekeeper. He trades freedom for enforcement, arriving on battlefields to stop wars through sheer intimidation. He ends conflicts by threatening to crush anyone who continues fighting. It creates a stifling, terrified compliance. What the oppressed actually required was someone to inspire them to fight for their own freedom, someone to bring joy back into their lives. Shanks is trying to manually manufacture the prophesied dawn of the world through force. He steps into a vacuum he was never meant to fill, attempting to hijack destiny, because the true savior is resting at the bottom of the East Blue. To understand why Shanks is doomed to fail, we have to look back 800 years to the Void Century. Joy Boy drafted a massive generational plan to ensure all species could live freely under the same sun, a state he called the Dawn. This diagram shows the world's defining feature, the red line, a massive continent artificially dividing the oceans. The One Piece is a blueprint to dismantle it. Detonating its intersections crumbles the rock, allowing the 4 seas to merge into one continuous body of water. Unifying the oceans physically creates the legendary All Blue. It destroys the boundaries that keep fishmen, giants, and humans segregated. It is the ultimate expression of freedom, written directly into the geography of the planet. Knowing he wouldn't live to see the red line fall, Joy Boy established a spiritual failsafe. He passed down his dream through the will of D, ensuring that across centuries, certain individuals would share his commitment to liberation until conditions aligned. The instructions on the final island provide the coordinates, but the physical reality of the world remains fixed in place without the specific lineage and spiritual resonance required to move it. This ancient carving depicts the sun god Nika, a wildly dancing, rubber-bodied warrior who spreads laughter. Fulfilling the 800-year-old promise requires possessing this specific, liberating power, along with the rare ability to hear the voice of all things, communicating directly with the ancient weapons needed to break the world. Shanks cannot stretch. He cannot command sea kings. He relies on supreme political maneuvering and overwhelming conqueror's hockey. He operates from the top down, enforcing his will upon others. Imposing global order through terrifying strength mirrors the enemy. The secret sovereign, Emu, maintains control from the empty throne through overwhelming authoritarian force. Shanks attempts to achieve a liberation requiring laughter and joy by using conventional geopolitical weapons. he is unable to satisfy the magical requirements of the treasure he seeks. Decades after his captain made the voyage, an aged, battle-worn Shanks finally navigates his crew to the hidden coordinates of the last island. He steps onto the shores of Laugh-Tale, hoping to finish the job he believes he owes to the boy he let die. A moment of wonder. When Gold D. Rogers stood in this exact spot and looked at the treasure left behind by Joy Boy, the sheer absurdity and beauty of the plan hit him. He threw his head back and erupted into deep, roaring laughter. Heavy, somber tone. Shanks stands before the identical treasure. The cavern is dead silent. The man who spent his life trying to force peace drops to his knees. The weight of his failure finally crushes him. He reads the true history and discovers that the mechanism to unify the world is tied to the world's biggest party. It is a grand exchange of sake, designed to connect every race, enemy, and friend in a single joyous celebration. You cannot intimidate people into a genuine celebration. To activate this mechanism, you need a person so absurdly magnetic that they naturally draw allies from every corner of the globe, pulling enemies into their rhythm until everyone is smiling. Shanks realizes that all his hockey, all his political power, and all his sacrifices mean nothing here. Without Monkey D. Luffy alive to pull the trigger and spread that joy, the greatest treasure in history is an empty bottle and a mocking punchline. The endless cycle of piracy will continue. The final treasure, the boy with the straw hat, and the liberation of the world are all tied together. You cannot have one without the others. They remain out of reach, buried forever at the bottom of the sea.